G'day everyone, welcome back to another tier list predictions video on the channel. Last video we went over defenders and today we're going to be going over midfielders, ranking how I think the midfielders of the AFL will go in 2024. We'll be using 4 tiers to separate the players. Tier 4 will be good, Tier 3 will be great, Tier 2 will be elite, and Tier 1 will be the top 3 of each position. And alongside the midfielders, we'll of course also be going over the ruckmen. So feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you do go on to enjoy. Also, if you haven't already, make sure to check out my previous video where I did go over the defenders. And with that said, let's get into today's video. Okay everyone, so let's start off with the midfielders, and we all know because of the position alone there is bound to be a lot of selections, which there sure is. I have about 60 players in this tier list alone, so plenty to go over. We'll kick off with the good tier, and here are the players that I do have. We start off with Blake Acres from Carlton. Really good year he had last year for the Blues, one of the recruits of the season and a fine wingman. Can be a bit ineffective by disposal, but his work rate is very good. An important role player that is also capable of having that game-breaking edge with some clutch moments. Taylor Adams from the Sydney Swans, the new recruit for the Swannies. I personally feel, as a Swans man, he's going to be huge to the Swans midfield because they need that ball winner. That is what Adams is able to do. Questions maybe on his body. He's had injury problems in the past, but he pretty much played every game for Collingwood last year. I've got good confidence he could be one of the recruits of the season. Tom Atkins from Geelong, just a tough-nosed inside midfielder, quite underrated, racks up the tackles left, right and centre. Angus Brayshaw from the Melbourne Demons can also play half-back, a good versatile option for Melbourne's quite good on paper midfield. Finn Callaghan, a big one here. I reckon this guy has a breakout season for GWS, averaged 20 touches on the wing last year for the Giants, and this is a player that has superstar potential, and I see getting more inside time this year. Adam Cerra from Carlton was superb for the Blues, especially in their down patch throughout the middle of last year, and finished strong with his form. A player who's able to rack up the footy and find the goals. And then we've got Brad Crouch from the Saints, a really good accumulator of the footy and also a tough inside mid. That can pretty much be the same said for his brother of Matt Crouch from Adelaide. If he's able to get consistent game time under 𝐼𝐶𝐼𝐿 this year, I think he does improve in his numbers and also his game. He'll for sure be important for Adelaide's push towards the finals, you do think, with his good clearance abilities. Paddy Dangerfield from Geelong, yes, he's getting another year older, so probably his influence and his powers will be weakened even more as he gets older with age in terms of speed and everything, but still his burst and his ability to win a lot of clearances will be important for Geelong. Sam Flanders, expecting this guy to really improve because he had some great performances once he came in the second half of the year for the Suns. Cam Guthrie from Geelong was just hammered by injury last year, and the previous 2 seasons he had some great numbers and a really key part of Geelong's midfield, so he's going to be important should the Cats improve. And then Jason Horne-Francis from Port Adelaide, exciting young player, really good at bursting out of stoppage and also finding the goals. And you know, his second year at Port Adelaide, I'm expecting for him to make the jump now that he's comfortable at the club, of course. And then Tim Kelly, just an absolute workhorse for the Eagles. Was very good last year, the best and fairest, and will be an important figure for letting out the Eagles midfield this year. Jack McRae from the Doggies, will he get back into the midfield or will he just continue to sit on the half-forward line? I think Beva's got to throw more into the centre bounces because he's clean inside. Then we have Nick Martin from Essendon, one of the Bombers' most exciting young players. He had some great games across the wing last year, and I'm big on this guy to continue to improve, and he could put him in the great tier, could have a big breakout year. Callum Mills from the Sydney Swans will miss out in the first 6 or 7 weeks or so of the season most likely, but once he's in there, if he's playing in his proper position, not really being thrown down at full back like he was last year, he's really important on how the Swans go in the midfield. He's just that general and the nucleus in the midfield for the Swannies. Tom Mitchell, just a great accumulator who was also able to find a lot of hard ball and just get those important little nudges and just do all the little right things for Collingwood in their premiership run. And then Luke Parker as well from the Swans, another Swannies midfielder here. Will probably play a little bit more forward, given that it's now entering into his twilight years. He's sort of lost that ability to win as much of footy, but he's still an absolute clearance beast and a very strong player overhead, of course. Scotty Pendlebury from Collingwood, I just couldn't leave this guy out. What a football and what a player he's been across the span of his career. What is he, 36, 37 this year? And he's just still going like he's 25. Great player. I think he continues his form. Taron Thomas from North Melbourne, this one, a bit of a... you just have to bite the bullet, really. What's going to happen with him? Is he going to have more off-the-field issues? But if he's able to replicate any type of form like he had in the back half of 2023, putting up some great numbers, watch out. I think this guy can finally have a breakout season. And then Adam Treloar from the Bulldogs, in terms of an accumulator, he's definitely up there. I think he was top 5 in terms of disposal averages. Can be a bit of a hack when using the footy, but, just those high accumulators, you always have to respect them in a midfield. And then Mason Wood for the Saints. Want to give this guy respect. I think he'll continue to shine. It was looking like an All-Australian winning the first 10 rounds or so, and just a very accountable player. Went well by foot, took some important defensive marks, but also found the goals really well, so I think he continues that. And to round out the good tier, I've got James Worpel, the Warpedo from Hawthorn. Clearance beast he is. Again, bit of a hack of the footy, but those tough inside midfielders are important to a midfield, and he certainly is that for the Hawks. And now we move on to the great tier. Not as many players as I was in tier 4, but still some good quality players to go over. Jack Crisp from Collingwood, underrated. This is what I always think about when I do see Jack Crisp. Fine user of the footy, accountable, tough. Had a great final series again for the Pies last year. And then we have Josh Dacos from Collingwood. Not only is he a hard-nosed runner, he can run both ways, but he's also a clean user of the footy and can find the goals and able to show some flash and flair. Luke Davies-Uniacke for the Kangaroos. Now, a lot of people hyping this guy up to be just that next elite player and have a breakout season. I don't know, I still feel like his body and his inconsistencies does make me question that, but I still think he's going to be very important for the Kangaroos nevertheless. When he is on song, he is a terrific clearance player. Will Day from Hawthorn, the best and fairest winner. Definitely got to respect this guy. Was just brilliant. Breakout season last year. Just a clean player, and I just love how he moves around stoppages. He's just a very smooth moving player. I think he will continue to really boss it in 2024 for the Hawks. Sam Docherty moving more into the midfield the last season or so now from his usual position as that roaming halfback. We'll continue to obviously rotate, but yeah, again, just a high accumulator. Plays with great intensity. Love how he goes at it. Josh Kelly from GWS, starting to get on a little bit now in terms of age, but just an absolute fine footballer. That's a smart, high footy IQ kind of guy, and was able to find the goals quite a bit last year too. Rory Laird, tough nose inside midfielder. That's also a clearance beast, accountable player too. Just your stock standard, see ball, get ball kind of guy. Extremely underrated player too. And then 𝐓𝐿 𝐿𝐼 for the Brisbane Lions. Second half of the year last year, he was able to find the goals a lot more and turn more into that goal-kicking midfielder. That's what I really like about his game. And yeah, very underrated player to Brisbane's midfield. Darcy Parish, really good accumulator to the footy. That is for sure a clean play in and under. Then Jack Steele from St Kilda. Can he get back to his absolute peak? I still don't know with his body, because he's been up, he's been down. But if he's able to have that full season, I think the Saints are a very good chance to make the 8, because he is important with how they go in and under. Timmy Taranto from Richmond. Now, people would want to put them in the elite tier. I'm sort of a little bit reluctant, because I just always question his kicking sometimes, and the second half of this year he did drop off in terms of numbers, but he is probably one of the best goal kicking midfielders in the competition. Such a natural kick for goal, and yeah, still a great player to watch. Just racks up the footy and tough inside with some great tackling abilities. And then Jack Viney for the D's. He was terrific in Melbourne's campaign last year, and he's a player that just epitomises those warrior type of hard-nutted inside midfielders. Very brave and courageous player too. Chuddy Warner, one of my favourites. We all know how good he was in 2022. Sort of dropped off last year, but including myself, people keen on this guy to get to the top of his game with just his ability to break away from stoppages and kick some beautiful goals from outside 50. And then Hayden Young, he's going to be moving into the midfield a lot more for Fremantle. When he did move into the midfield last year for the Dockers, he had some great numbers, and we all know composed player, also very accountable player too. He can definitely do a tagging role, but we all know a great kick of the football, so will be key for Fremantle in a potential rise in 2024. Who knows? And now we move on to the elite tier, the best of the best midfielders, in my opinion, for 2024. We start off with Noah Anderson. I had this guy as a top 10 player last year heading into 2023, and he pretty much almost was. Play ratings and coaches' votes wise, he was brilliant, and is just a really well-rounded midfielder that's also able to break free, kick some lovely goals. Andy Brayshaw, compared to 2022, dropped off a little bit in terms of numbers, but just one of the best two-way runners in the comp that's also able to accumulate really nicely. Very fit play too. Zach Butters, loved this guy's season. His stretch of 7, 8, 9 games was absolutely insane. He racked up all the coaches' votes. Well, of course, was the coach's MVP recipient last year. Can't see him stagnating or decreasing his form heading into 2024. Stephen Coniglio for GWS. What a year he had last year. He's always just been a really consistent player in terms of numbers, enabling to find the goals as that goal-kicking midfielder that he is. Really love watching him play. Paddy Cripps, look, he's always one of the more controversial midfielders in the competition. People say he's a hack of the footy. People say he's overrated. What can't be disagreed, though, is his strengths in the contested game. In traffic, very clean user. One of the best stoppage players in the competition, has to be said. Jordan Dawson from the Adelaide Crows. Still pains me as a Swans fan that this guy did leave for so little, but wow, he's becoming an elite midfielder in the competition. Moved to the mids last year, and just such a composed player. He will definitely be probably a Brownlow contender and one of the best players in the comp. Kind of contenders definitely heading into 2024. Jordan Gully from the Pies, clutch player, really good when the moments matter, and a goal-kicking midfielder who's also a beast in terms of winning a lot of centre clearances. Then Josh Dunkley from the Brisbane Lions, one of the most accountable players in the competition, very fit, two-way running, you name it, he just epitomises that. That's also able to do some jobs on some very tough midfielders, and yeah, just a really good all-round midfielder. Tom Green, big on this guy, the boy from Canberra, went to my high school. I know no one cares, I always like to say that, but yeah, tough inside midfielder, core strength unbelievable, can also find the goals. Brownlow contender for sure heading into 2024. Errol Goulden, Swannies man, love this guy. Yeah, it was just a marvel on the wing for the Swannies, and for sure will continue to show his dominance in 2024. A bit more attention on him, that's probably what I'm going to be guessing. I think a lot of coaches will try and strategize against him. How will he combat that? But just with his foot skills, his footy smarts, it is second to none. Tom Liberatore for the Western Bulldogs. I can't see this guy dropping off until I see it personally in terms of predictions. Yeah, one of the most underrated midfielders in the competition. Always consistent on just finding that footy and winning it. Contest possessions, I think he's like top 3 for averaging from last year too. Zach Merritt, we all know, clean player, and just love his kicking forward of centre, especially going inside 50. Great kick on his favoured left, and will be key to lead the Bombers out in a potential rise in 2024. 𝐓𝐶 Miller, shame he did go down with that injury last year, so now full season awaits. We all know he's able to be one of the best. He's shown he has been one of the best midfielders in the competition, so yeah, will just be another key player in the Suns midfield. Can they make the finals this year? He will be very important for that. Very accountable player too, able to do jobs on a particular player like this next man here of Lachie Neale. He was great tagging him last year, but Neale alone, yeah, peers and teammates do say he's one of the hardest players to play on, just with his ability to win it in and under. Very clean player in the stoppage. Hard to see him, or hard to see his game stagnate in 2024. Jai Newcomb, here's a big call. Big on this guy to become a pure elite player in 2024. From the numbers he showed last year in terms of player ratings and all the disposals, he was up there. So I think he makes the jump in 2024, because where I was also really impressed last year was just his ability to add that extra string to his bow in terms of goal kicking. He was able to become a bit more of a scoreboard impacting kind of midfielder, and yeah, he's just going to be huge, I think, for the Hawks heading into this season for sure. 𝐼𝐴, keep the tabs on him. Then we have Clayton Oliver for the Melbourne Demons. Very controversial player at the moment with all the issues he is facing, but I still back this guy in terms of talent. Last year, or the year before, sorry, he was the best player in the competition. Probably one of the best inside midfielders in the AFL too, so I'm backing this guy to get back up there in terms of performance. And then Matty Rowell for the Gold Coast Suns. I am really keen on this guy to see how he does blossom this year. Pretty much the best tackler in the AFL. He did have a few games last year which he was able to break free and show more than just being a tough nutted inside midfielder, with being able to kick well inside 50, put a bit of impact on the scoreboard. So I think he will really start to show that more in 2024 and become a truly elite player. Then Connor Rozee for Port Adelaide. What a player this guy is. One of the most consistent players in the comp, week in, week out, always kicking a goal here or there, racking up 30 touches, taking marks all over the ground. He's changed to the #1 Guernsey. Massive contract. He is going to be huge this year. Definitely, that is safe to say. Caleb Serong. Loved this guy's season last year. He definitely had that huge breakout year and is now an elite player in the competition, also with his first All-Australian blazer. He continues that this year and shows the comp that he is one of the best in and under midfielders. And then Sam Walsh. Got to put this guy back in the elite tier for 2024. This is finally the year where it's looking like he's having a full pre-season, so we can all say with confidence that he is going to be getting back to his potential best or even career best for 2024 for the Blues. And now for who I think will be the top 3 midfielders for the 2024 AFL season. Hard to go past these 3 players right here: Marcus Bontempelli, Nick Daicos, and Christian Petrarca. The Bont was head and shoulders above the rest in 2023. It just has to be said. He led the team on his back, being able to get the footy and kick well inside 50, hit the scoreboard, go forward. He could just do it all. He's just an absolute marvel. Love watching him play. Then Nick Daicos, generational talent. Love watching him play. Definitely a favourite also to pick up the Brownlow medal in 2024. And just his awareness at his age is something special. His foot skills are just brilliant too. He is going to be some sort of footballer, and he already is some sort of footballer. But yeah, keen to see how this guy will go in terms of probably personal achievements. In 5 years' time, he could have quite a few. And then finally, we rounded out with Christian Petrarca. The past 2 seasons, he's been the best player in the competition in terms of score involvements. He's able to float forward, take some great marks overhead, and he's also able to really find the footing, win that important clearance, and kick some beautiful goals from the midfield position. So that rounds out the midfielders for the 2024 AFL season. And for the final category of this video today, we have got, of course, the Ruckman. We've got around 23 or so players in this tier list. So alongside the first team Ruckman, we've also, of course, added in the ruck forward types like Luke Jackson and Bailey Williams, all those types of plays. Tom De Koning as well. So let's kick on with tier 4, the good tier, and we start with Mark Pittonet. A pretty underrated player, I think, to the Blues. Tom De Koning for sure will rise, you'd think, in 2024, but he's also always able to come in Pittonet and win those important hit-outs here and there. Ned Reeves from the Hawks, probably you think about an above-average ruckman at the moment, but you know, still with his somewhat young age and his big frame, and most likely will be taking full responsibility in terms of the ruck duties for the Hawks this year. Really think he does improve in terms of numbers. Ivan Soldo, chance to be one of the recruits of the season in my opinion. He had some great games across the span of his time at Richmond when Nankervis wasn't playing, when he was that solo ruck, so he's arriving in the perfect situation. Port Adelaide desperately need a ruck. He's also able to show some good athleticism, so he will be really good this year, I think, for the Power. Reece Stanley, an underrated player for the Cats, that's definitely safe to say in terms of AFL ruckman. Definitely underrated in terms of hit-out numbers. He's always up there quite a bit, but a few things you got to question. How will his body go? He's, I think, 32 heading into this year, and Toby Conway, a lot of Cats fans are quite keen to see this guy play a bit more footy this year, so performance and influence, that might be limited a bit in 2024. Bailey Williams from the West Coast Eagles seemed like a bit of a whipping boy for the Eagles fans not so long ago, but how about his season in 2023? He looked quite impressive. He was putting up great numbers. He was able to win it out of the ruck quite often, and now with the arrival of Matt Flynn, I think him and Flynn can build a nice partnership, as he's probably going to be playing a bit more of a forward role in 2024. And then Tristan Xerri, I look at him as probably an above average ruckman, and to be honest, that's probably where he could be at the end of the year, but with Goldstein out the door, this is finally the year for him to have a full season potentially as the solo ruck, so could really improve in terms of numbers. So we kick off with the great tier. In tier 3, a few more players in this tier. We start with Mark Blicavs from the Cats. Again, similar to Stanley Howell, his body hold up as he did go down with that unfortunate, I think it was a hamstring injury. He was out for 6 or 7 weeks last year. But in terms of talent, he is a very versatile player that is able to not only play in the ruck, but also play along the wing or play on the ball or tag and lock down an opposition's best midfielder. He can do it all, so will be definitely important for the Cats in 2024. And then we've got Darcy Cameron from Collingwood. In terms of numbers and just overall impact, always like watching this guy play. Just like a few other rucks, his body is a little bit of a concern, but he's always able to take those important clunks down the line or just give it to the right people in stoppages. So yeah, Darcy Cameron in the great tier for me. Then we've got Tom De Koning for the Blues. Big breakout year I'm expecting from this individual. Had some great games for Carlton last year. He shows great athletic feats. He's able to take those really important marks down the line or at half forward for Carlton and then drive it inside 50. I think he bosses it in 2024. Sammy Draper for the Bombers was riddled with injury last year and is having a bit of a delayed preseason, but Todd Goldstein and also himself will work really well for Essendon in 2024. He is 25 years of age at the moment, but I still think he's got some untapped potential. Matt Flynn, the new recruit for the West Coast Eagles, talked about him a little bit earlier in terms of a partnership with Bailey Williams when I was talking about him. I'm big on this guy. He had some great games across the span of his time at the Giants when he was the solo ruck. So again, it's similar to Soldo. He's coming to a club of West Coast who desperately need a ruckman that's able to win it and also put up some great numbers. So I'm bullish on Matt Flynn really improving his game and being a terrific pickup for the Eagles. And then Todd Goldstein for the Bombers, always just an extremely underrated ruckman across the span of his career. Always able to ruck up the hitouts, and yeah, he might be, 36, 37, but he still is a fine ruckman. In terms of racking up those hitouts, Luke Jackson for Freo, this is now his second year at the club, so again, similar to those types like Jason Horne-Francis, will be a lot more comfortable at the club. He had a great back half of 2023. When Darcy was out, he had some great moments as the solo ruck. His athleticism and his ground level work is brilliant, and also his goal kicking abilities and ability to mark overhead is very good too. So yeah, big on this guy to improve his game for 2024. Then we have the big O, Oscar McInerney for the Brisbane Lions. In terms of winning it out of the middle and getting it forward, winning the clearance, he's definitely one of the best rucks in the competition on being able to do that. Just your no-nonsense ruckman that's able to just fight for the ball and get it forward for his team. Toby Nankervis for Richmond puts up great numbers. Again, a really underappreciated ruckman, I think, in the competition. I think a lot of teams would love to have him and will be very important in, you'd think, Richmond's transition and rebuild this year. And then to close out the great tier, we have got the big Rory O'Brien for the Adelaide Crows. One of the best hit out to advantage ruckman in the competition. And alongside that, he possesses one of the best kicking actions in the competition, the old classic two-hand ball drop. You love to see it. And now for the elite tier, tier 2, we've got 4 plays here. We start off with Kieran Briggs for the GWS Giants. Where did he come from last year? He came in to beat out Bruce, to beat out Flynn, and he was just insane. He was just playing like a man possessed in the middle, always just grabbing it out of the middle, getting it forward, taking important clunks, and he was also able to find the goals. So in potentially GWS's rise in terms of ladder positions this year, he's going to be huge, I reckon. Kieran Briggs, watch out for him. Shaun Dux for Fremantle, we all know, a terrific head-out ruckman for Fremantle, and when he was out with injury, if you watch the difference between when he was in and when he was out, you can just tell how big he is for Fremantle in terms of midfield structure and being able to win clearances. Very important to the Dockers on how they go. Brodie Grundy, the new recruit for Sydney, a lot of people tipping this guy to be one of the pickups of the year. As a Swans man, very optimistic on him. I probably don't see him getting back to his absolute 2019 best, but he is for sure going to be huge in terms of just being able to rack up the numbers and playing as that extra fourth midfielder, which is definitely what the Swans do need. So Brodie Grundy, keen on him, and I think he'll have an elite season for the Swannies. And then finally, you can't go past this guy, Jarrod Witts. He is statistically the best hit-out ruckman in the competition. Now, this is a pretty straightforward one for the Suns. Can't deny that Jarrod Witts will continue to be an elite ruckman in 2024. And for who I think will be the top 3 rucks at the season's end for 2024, it's pretty vanilla, let's be honest, but it is hard to go past these 3. Tim English, Max Gawn, and Rowan Marshall. Timmy English was the best ruckman last year. Marshall came close, but English was more consistent from last year. He is having a delayed pre-season, but still, from what we've been able to see, if he's able to have a full season and not let the injury prone get the better of him, then yeah, I think he'll continue to be the best ruckman because he's just able to glide across the ground, helping the Bulldogs transition the football, play as that extra fourth midfielder, but also swing forward and take some brilliant marks. And he's a very accurate kick for goal. He's a great goal-kicking ruckman, that is safe to say. Max Gawn, without Grundy, without all those issues, I think he gets back to his best pretty much in 2024. It's hard to see him, it's hard to really say no to that because he's just been able to show it for years on end. And then Rowan Marshall, really impressive player in 2023. He is the ultimate ruckman, I think, in terms of being able to mark it down the line. He just did it so often for the Saints, and those are your sort of underappreciated kind of plays. They are huge in terms of moving the footy. He can do that. He can also find the goals, and yeah, just an all-round brilliant ruckman. So very confident that he will be a top 3 ruckman in 2024, and that rounds out the ruckman. So everyone, there were my player tier list predictions for the midfielders and ruckman for the 2024 AFL season. Feel free to comment below and let me know what you did think of my rankings. Would you put plays higher or lower? There of course were a few plays that were stiff to miss out, so let me know down below in the comments. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you did go on to enjoy. Stay tuned on the channel for the final video, which will be the forwards, and also check out the defenders if you haven't already. And apart from that, everyone, thank you for watching, and until next time, I will talk to you later. See you later, fellas.